Hello, music multiverse listeners. It's time. That's right. It's album review Saturdays. It's time to review some albums. I've got three on tap that I did on the website. Those are Glenn Hansard, All That Is East Is West of Me Now, Dylan LeBlanc's Coyote, and The Coral Sea of Mirrors. Plus, State of the End, I've got two more albums to review after that. So, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. If you're returning, well, thank you from all of us here at Beyond Your Radio, of course. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button. Obviously, that makes our channel a little bit more popular, gets us closer and closer to monetization, but also lets you in on when we're having these types of videos. If you also haven't commented or even hit the like button, please do so. That also helps the algorithm of the entire channel. Now, let's get into this week's albums. I started off with the Oscar winner and famous singer-songwriter Glenn Hansard, as we're always excited to have a listen to new music from him. This is somewhat in the same alt-folk range with his masterful, emotion-packed delivery. But this time it starts off with a little bit of The Frames. That's right, a little bit of Irish alternative, but the guitar is in there, a little angstiness at the beginning, which he's known for. Before his real fame came. However, the album does not keep there. It moves away, getting back into the wheelhouse, as the album title kind of suggests, I guess, maybe. I don't know, it's just a guess on my part. But here's The Feast of St. John, which does utter the title to the album in its affliction.
The low fires burning at the feast of St. John. See the heroes returning, all but one. And I'll be with you, brother, if good fortune allows. 'Cause all that was east is west of me now. And
the album is straight up what you would expect and has plenty of lyrical and vocal moments to indulge upon. The only issue I have is the final track is an instrumental moment of 58 to 59 seconds that, well, doesn't really complete the album, in my opinion. Now, let's get up to another one, singer-songwriter, and somewhat the same in the acoustical electrical guitar, softer delivery, with Dylan LeBlanc, whom I did in Unknown Sunday that you can look up. I'll put that in the description. His album that he released last week is called Coyote. So we've been tied to him for a while now, considering the mention of Unknown Sundays. He's put out some records since. The real problem is the past. Would be finding his stuff, concerning the lack of musical industry support, despite his credentials, which means Emmylou Harris was on one of his records. He's opened for Lucinda Williams, The Civil Wars, and Calexico, and the overall fantastic folk writing talent that he has harvested throughout his career. Coyote is another example of a man who knows how to sow his musical seed and bring forth a bounty of worthy material to the starving audio masses. Coyote is truly and utterly about survival. The tone, the tension, and the unique scope from which it has emerged is all woven throughout the album, either in acoustic or electric or mandolin. It unfolds and progresses as if in real time, although only 50-some minutes. You certainly love the picking, there's strumming, and the intentional emotion that flows in and out of the foreground and background. He has a Neil Young-like knack, but here he's upped his game. He's got strings and allowed some pop harmony to dangle into the mix, like on Stranger Things, which has a lovely familiarity to it, set in the musical past. The picking gets intentful, stressful, as the record winds toward its conclusion, and he reaches, a lot with his voice, which is great, too. That shows a little bit more strength, as well as strenuous to the entire process of this. You start to hear the coarse electric guitar in the background, revealing a density in this record too that's starting to creep to the surface of awareness. It's intentional, I'm sure, and it's well done. There's a nifty left fielder, okay, toward the end of the record, the second to last song, called "The Crowd Goes Wild," that pushes a disco alt folk feel, and I think that's worthy of our listen.
He's so broken and so tortured, and the crowd goes wild. Yeah, the crowd goes wild.
It leads wonderfully into the final track, and when you're done, you realize how much more musicianship hit you at the end of this record. Was there stuff in the back? There was, and that makes you go back and listen again. And while you're at it, why don't you go back to 2015 to Cautionary Tale, which is really one of the great companion listens with this record. Now I'm going to move on to the choral, Sea of Mirrors. Now I'm fairly new to the choral, which is interesting considering that they've been around since 2002. They've been creating quite the nice catalog and 1 million in record sales. It's not an easy feat, is it? The only album I have of theirs seemed to have been lost in my collection, and that was Magic and Medicine, which was their sophomore release. Well, let's enter Jeff Crichton, who's been on the show before as a panelist, who brought them up on Panelist's Favorite Show, Albums of 2010. So just prior to coming out, I went back a few albums and reacquainted myself with the band, which has been in an evolutionary creative state since their beginning, as far as I'm concerned, which for me is always the sign of great musicians and those that I should be paying closer attention to. This is the 11th studio album. Starts off sort of in a familiar acoustic soft guitar and leading to that near rockabilly pace, as would be expected from a song called The Actor and the Cardboard Cowboy, dangling well against the strings and harmonies that they're well known for, and they nail it down probably since the mid-2000s. The jangle pop that they have been, well, sort of note for is slightly lingering, but in an entirely different tone, with a variety of instruments that fit more in a folk and all country spaghetti western than in a pop marketplace. This is what makes it both charming, makes it comforting, and easily indulgent. Each song is carefully crafted to stand on its own musically, while softly and subtly connecting to each other as if it was a soundtrack or a concept album. But I don't believe this is a concept album. At least that's not how I heard it, considering the wonderful harmonies, the strings, and there's that old accompanied piano style. Wild Bird and North Wind certainly make the case for the entire album. Let's take a listen to Wild Bird.
Wild bird, fly through the burning sky. I've chased you down to the sea. Spread your wings in the raging sun and show the world you are free.
I felt that dusty alt, we'll call it alt country rock, sort of like Calexico without the Spanish layer to it. But if you're a fan of that, this is definitely in your wheelhouse. It's the album for you and then some. There is apparently another album coming on the heels of it. Not sure where to put that right now in the wheelhouse of the albums of 2023 that could be album of the year, but I do have this album growing on me with every listen. I know for a fact that it's going to bring me back to more of their records too, which is the mark of great songwriting and musicianship. I highly recommend you look into Sea of Mirrors and get it on your preferred medium of music delivery. So what are the 2 extra albums I got for you tonight? Let's start with Blood Lightning, self-titled from our friends at Fuzz Gurus at Ripple Music. This is a banging record with hints of Black Sabbath, old school heavy rock, tints of metal, boot up the ass kind of stuff with a vocalist who's working his way into your ear by the mid part of the album. But I chose the fun and riff-tastic nastiness of a song called Banana Conda to showcase. So let's take a listen. Please note that I do hear the cult, especially at the vocals start to take more control. Face Eater is a good example of that. So this is an EP, and it's just a hint shy of 30 minutes. But I assure you, it's a burner, barn burner, and will scorch your stereo for sure. If this is their EP and they get enough hits and get enough momentum going, I can't wait to see what a full record might be. I'm sure they'll be touring too. So now I'm going to go to the final band of the night, and that's Rival Sons, Lightbringer. This is the follow-up to Dark Fighter, which I already reviewed on this channel on the website, and just in the usual manner of writing. I don't think I spoke of it through the video medium. I chose not to use a full review here because I feel this should have been put together. However, I'm going to say, based on the delivery and the pace and near prog-like attack on this, that it's by far a necessary piece to the entirety of the records. They need to be together. It should be Dark Fighter and Lightbringer, and it should have been a solitary record. In fact, they may have been able to slice and dice some of the stuff that I didn't feel was advantageous to who they are. However, let's talk about this. Just listen to Mercy. See, you're reminded of how big this band should be. Seriously, I've been saying this for a while, but Darkbringer in the previous album didn't fit that narrative. Please don't jump into pop. You know, that it's not that they jumped into pop, but it had that, oh, I don't know, that Theory of a Dead Man commercialism kind of thing. Stick with the hard rock and bring it the way you've been doing it and use that vocal that he has. But this piece is where they need to rest their case for greatness. Now, as always, we'll be back here another week for more album reviews. I'm thinking next week might actually be a lot of rap. There is a big record out there that needs to be spoken about. I'm sure some of you might already know about it, but I want to talk about that. But I've got some ones from The Kills, Cass is Dead, a few others that I really love to showcase. And I don't speak about rap that often, so that might be a good opportunity there. So we're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget tomorrow, Unknown Sundays, which will be up on the site. That is not a video program, won't be yet until next year. I always thank you for watching these, and happy listening.